We are back. We are back. Leadership State of Mind family. It is a beautiful day, and I'm excited to be here with my main man, Armon. How we doing?
It's been lovely, baby. It's been lovely. Getting towards the end of this crazy summer. School is back in. We are, for our profession, we are in the middle, right in the middle of CPO initiation season. There's new lessons being learned. There's egos being broken down, and we're refining the leadership of the chief petty officer right now. So it's a good time. What about you? How's things?
Things are good, man. I can't complain. Obviously, over here doing the same thing with leadership initiation season, with chief season. So I'm enjoying that. And yeah, I mean, life's just been busy. All three kids are in
Yeah,
school. That's new. That's fun to have all the kids in school. Football season just started for the two older ones. And
yeah.
yeah, man, everything's good. I can't complain too much. Been
That's
uh
good.
been
That's good,
been
man.
excited. Been some really good feedback from the book. I think that's been really enjoyable. People reaching out and talking about the simplicity and the lessons that we put in the book and how digestible it is. And people hitting me back saying, "Hey, man, like I got one copy for me." And then I went back on and got four for the rest of my managers. And so, I mean, when we started doing this, that was the concept and the things we were looking to be able to do and provide. So I think it's been really cool to kind of hear that positive feedback and yeah, man, just riding the wave. So everyone listening for the first time, hop on Amazon, get yourself 10 leadership commandments, and get some of the rules you need to be successful in leadership, man. But yeah, everything's good. I can't complain. It's Hawaii, so can't find happiness here. You ain't never gonna find it. So I'm pretty good.
That's that's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah. I share in the same and receiving the same feedback from people that that have the book. There's joy when the thing that you set out to do, people are providing the feedback that matches what your intent was.
Exactly.
Right. So we wanted to be able to give something that was easily digestible, something that hit hard, that hit quick, and something that is easily shareable. Because sometimes when you write these long books, 300-400 pages, man, it's like I'm not sharing this whole thing. I'm not buying this whole thing and giving it away, right? Because people, you got to respect people's time. But this is something I think you could take in a training session,
Easily.
right? It's like, hey, easy. You can even break it up into multiple. So it's very versatile, and simplistic. So you can go wherever you want to with it, and it's better shared. Got to tell you, if you're only getting one for yourself, it's not enough. It's better shared.
I
So
agree.
that's the intent. That's the intent of the book, right? Don't do it by yourself. Share it share with somebody you know can utilize this information. That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
And for all my chief petty officers out there, I mean, if you're a sponsor, I mean, why would you not get one of these brand new chief petty officers 10 leadership commandments? Just a
Right.
thought, something to check out.
Just
But
thought.
but yeah, man, we good. We good. I'm excited about today's episode. I was kind of fired up this week. When you hit me up talking about
I
like
know. I know.
you ready to do something, I was ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, that was right on the tip of your tongue. It was like, hey, what do we want to talk about? We gonna talk. I was like, oh,
Oh yeah, I was
let's
ready.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm with it. I think it's extremely pointed and needed at this specific time in this specific place. So I'm excited to dive into this. Um, but first,
But
but
first,
first, it was all good just a week ago.
yeah, man, it was all good just a week ago. And so, if you're new to this is where we kind of talk about some of the shortfalls of leadership and some lessons learned. And so this week, I just want to talk about the leaders that lack the ability to hold people accountable and them not understanding what that is the difference between success and failure. You know,
Yep.
it's great to have these lofty, audacious, philosophical beliefs about how you want to do things. But when it comes to success and failure, when it comes to leading, there comes a time where you have to have standards and guidelines and accountability to those that you serve and to those that you are responsible to lead. And when they're not hitting the mark, you have to be able to hold them accountable. And if you don't, that becomes your new standard. If you put out a requirement that, you need fill in the blank, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your people and that their time is valuable. And you want to make sure that there's a man for man, hour for hour, day for day plan going into a brand new week. And it's the end of the week. And your standard is that that list is available and ready for everyone to see. And people go home that day and the list isn't posted and people don't know what they're doing that week. You're not holding yourself accountable or them. And so this week, my tip for you is ensure that you are holding people accountable to the requirements and rules that you're putting out and holding yourself accountable to make sure that it's executed. Because words don't mean anything when things aren't getting done.
Absolutely. I mean, this discussion about accountability is something that always finds its way into leadership circles. And
Sure.
one aspect of it, I think that people sometimes get confused with is the accountability versus discipline. Automatically assuming that to hold somebody accountable, that we have to do some level of discipline to this person to get
Yeah.
them right. Well, actually, if you hold them accountable, if you maintain accountability with that person, you never have to worry about the discipline side of it. You never
Yeah.
even have to get there. So don't get that conflated, but it's absolutely necessary. And it takes energy, it takes time, it takes effort, to make sure that you're doing those things. So don't get caught up in a situation where or find yourself in a situation where you're so gassed that you can't go back and provide the level of insight, the level of covering down for that person so you can protect them and protect yourself.
Yeah.
Because we're helping those people grow. We're helping those people learn. So absolutely, I love that.
Yeah, man. What about you?
Yeah. We are working on, evaluations, evaluation time, here in the CPO world. And, we got a new evaluation for us. We have a new admiral too. And so that means, a new reporting senior and all those good things. And, the playing field is wide open. But one of the things that I pride myself into is to do all I can to pour everything I can, everything I've learned, every mistake that I've made, into the people I have the privilege of leading. But here's a very real reality. You may not get through
To everybody.
to some of your slowest performers.
Sure.
It just may not happen. You may find yourself making sure the field has the right amount of sun. You're putting the work in, tilling the ground, making sure the soil is good. You're putting the nutrients in the ground at the right time of the right season, exposing it to all the right conditions, giving it the right food, the right water, and it only grows a little bit.
Hmm.
Then you got to go back again next season, and you hope the harvest is greater. But we don't have control over the reality of what that harvest is. So you may not get through to everybody,
Yeah.
and that's fine. It's fine. Sometimes you are the one that plants the seed. Sometimes you're the one that plants the seed. Sometimes you may come in a situation where really good seeds have been planted into really good ground. It just requires more water. So you may be at the water stage of this person. You just never know. But that doesn't stop. That should not stop. That should not derail. That should not put you in a place of, man, I failed. Failure is an event, not a person. So just know you may not reach everybody in the time that you have, and that's okay. But don't allow that to sway you from not putting in maximum effort into making sure that you're giving them everything. And then you're questioning yourself as well to make sure you have self-awareness, all those things so that you're able to understand what they need and give them what they need. And they just may not be receptive sometimes. So just be mindful of that and be careful of that. and don't allow that to bring you down or stress you out. Like I said, you may be the one that's just meant to plant the seed, and then in due time, somebody else comes along, waters it, put them in a different environment, and maybe they grow from there. But you may not reach everybody, and that's fine. But that doesn't stop the grind.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it would be in a perfect world, everyone would love everything you say and everything would make sense and everyone would jump on board. But I mean, at the end of
Yeah,
the day, like, I mean, I the example I use is reading books. Sometimes you read a book and it don't really hit right. And then
yeah.
maybe a couple years later, you're in a different stage of your life and you're looking at things differently. You've grown a little bit and you reread that book and it's like you reading it for the first time. And it's because you just weren't in the receive mode or in a right headspace to be able to receive that information and receive that guidance. And so it's incumbent on us
The
to
book I have a book. There was a book that
I just sparked some.
exactly that. The
Okay.
Traveler's Gift. The
Yeah.
Traveler's Gift by Annie Andrews.
Okay.
I was given that book 6 years
Mm,
before the first time I read it. So
okay.
I read it the first time when it was given to me. I was like, I mean, okay, all right,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, I read it again. I'm like, oh, this is one of the best books I've ever read.
Sure.
So yeah, absolutely.
So I mean,
I wasn't ready for it at the time.
yeah, sometimes you just got to be ready for it. And as leaders, all we can do is we don't quit on people. We continue to pour into them, and as long as we, at the end of every day, feel like we did everything we could to put those people in the best position possible, what comes out of that comes out of that. But we
Yeah,
can't control everyone's actions and the
yep,
decisions they make. We can just control what we can control and move forward. So I love that, man. Love that, bro. So speaking of books, the
yeah,
Blueprint. What you reading right now?
yeah. So I just finished up this book called Apple in China, and
Okay.
it's more of a kind of geopolitical kind of book. It's a new realm that I'm kind of going into, just with our job and how the overlapping DIME model works, looking at the economic side of the DIME model, dime for those that may not understand what I'm talking about there. This one was an interesting read because Apple's venture into China is one that I don't think most people understand. So the implications of Apple going into China, about 20 years ago, about 20, 30 years ago now, is so much broader than just an iPhone. Um, Apple is darn near responsible, for training all of their high level engineers because Apple's phones are proprietary, technology, and their engineers that are within Apple, they had to go and train individually all these different engineers in China. So if they're trained in high level engineering processes governed by Apple, the sky was the limit for them from an engineering and from an economic standpoint on building out their technology sector.
Uh-huh.
And where they are right now is probably about 80 in the technology sector anyway. From a military standpoint, from a phone standpoint, economic standpoint, a lot of that really came from Apple. And because you're talking about thousands upon thousands of engineers over the years trained specifically by Apple. And if you have a bunch of engineers that's trained in micro miniature electronics, what else can they do?
Yeah, a lot.
What else can they delve into? Right. So man, it is such an interesting read. It is you get introduced to some very interesting people that were really a part of bringing Apple into the fold and kind of leveraging them a little bit too. Like because Apple tried to get out at one point and they were like, nah, he ain't going nowhere. Um, China is not a game, man. They were smart in how they brought them in, and it's 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 a scary read. It's a scary read, but it's
Okay.
definitely worth it. So yeah,
All right. Apple in China, huh?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I just finished a
What
book.
about you?
Yeah, I feel obligated to tell the story. I bought the book out of frustration. I don't even know the word. I had a buddy who was talking about trying to get me to do a speaking engagement, and the company ended up going with someone else. And then I saw that he had recently released a book, and I bought the book just to see if I liked it or not, or if I thought it was trash. And
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought it was good. I liked it. So shout out Ryan Leap. He wrote a book on how to work with complicated people. And I think when you say, "Hey man, I got a book for you and it's how to work with complicated people," every person thinks about that one complicated person that they have to work with. And they think like, "I'm gonna get this book so I can better work with this person." But the moral of the book is we're all complicated. We all have our own like pet peeves and things that we care about more than others. And so it's really just about we can only control ourselves, and like we can't try to fix other people's crazy or other people's complicated. And so there's a lot of good energy in there, a lot of good stories, and definitely something we can all improve because everyone has one or two people that they're like, God, man, if this person would just get on board or, listen, and, you think they're complicated. And then you look in the mirror and realize, like, oh, yeah, I'm like that too, just about different stuff. So, yeah, good book, good read, good flow too. Yeah. So, yep.
Did it get you past the spite a little bit after you reading the book? You're like, okay, all right, this guy's acceptable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
Okay.
and then I took a step back and was like, I probably wasn't ready for that job anyway. I mean, like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm ready. But I feel like, uh, we got to continue to grow our brand and build our following and get out there more and make and be a
Yeah.
more recognizable name. But it was anyway, it was good. It was a good read. So
Yeah. Have you already developed your key talk?
I have, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm
For those out there, for those out there that are looking to get into, that speaking engagement place, one of the things that that the start of that is you have to create in the world um, value already. And a lot of times that's done through, putting books out there, putting podcasts out there like we're doing right now. Um, Also, you got to have a key, a key talk, something, that defines you. What is your message? And it can't be broad. It can't be for everybody. It has to be for a specific, subset of people because when they think about you, they need to be thinking about that problem. And if they associate you with fixing that problem, you'll always have work. So,
Yep. Yeah, man. So anyway, good book, but you know, I always usually try to pull some bars out of the book that I read. And so for this week's bars, the quote I had from Ryan Leake was, "You can't control other people. You can only control how you respond to them."
absolutely.
Very short, very simple, but man, do we struggle with that sometimes. It's easier said than done, but I think that having that mindset to be able to understand that you can only control how you respond is important because when you're dealing with complicated people, frustrated people, or people that are frustrating you, you can't give them power over you or the situation. You need to be able to acknowledge what they're saying and understand that the only thing you have control over is how you respond to it. And so I just thought it was a powerful quote, stuck with me when I said it. I'm sure I've heard different versions of it, but in line with the book, it made a lot of sense. So that was my bar for the week. Something light. What you got over there?
Yeah, with the question, I mean, with the discussions with the newest, chief selects, one of the things I talk to them about is how they're coming up with solutions to what they presume to be problems. And one of the things, for me, I'm a really, really big collector of the right type of question, right? Because if I have the right question, that is going to ultimately get me to the right answer. So my bar is not the answer that enlightens, it's the question.
Mm,
It's not the answer that enlightens, it's the question. So making sure you have the right question. Great questions give you great answers. Bad questions give you really, really bad answers because your mind is just going to answer that question. So it really digs deep when you're talking about self talk when you may do something wrong. And the first question that may come that may be generating your mind, why am I so dumb? Why am I so stupid? Why am I such a da 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 da? That's a horrible question to ask
Yep.
because your brain is going to answer that and is going to give you a bad answer about who you are and is going to descend into a very, very unprofitable place, right? But asking yourself a better, question, what can I do? What can I do better in this situation, than I did in the past, whatever, right? Something that can lead to a better answer, right? So we got to take control of our questions because they lead ultimately to the answer. So it's not the answer that enlightens, it's the questions.
That was great. That was your own quote too. That makes it even cooler. I like that. I like that. All right, man. I'm gonna go to you first. What's your tip of the week? Tip of the week.
Yeah. So I have a thing that I tell all of my sailors when I check them in. I care more about you as a person than I do about you as a sailor. And they always have the same look when I say that, like, huh? Are you the CMC? You supposed to care about me as a sailor? It's like I do care about you as a sailor, but I just care more about you, as a person because it is my goal as a leader to develop you beyond this organization. And that is my tip for the week for you leaders out there regardless of what organization that you're in, the people that you got the privilege of leading, develop them beyond your organization. It's not about just wearing this uniform because I just happen to be in this organization that is the military, right? But there are limits to the constraints that this organization has. There's limits to that. If I only worry about just the sailor aspect, I'm only concerned with you and how you can serve me in this moment right now. That's not leadership. My goal is, and our goal is here, even at Leadership State of Mind, is to help people become the best version of themselves, not just the version of themselves that exists within whatever organization or structure they're currently operating in. We have to develop people beyond just today, beyond this week, beyond the organization. So look at, project out what's the best version of that person rather than that best whatever their job title is because that is what truly serves people.
I love it. I had some stuff written down, I'm gonna go a different route because you inspired me.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's
So
go.
listen. There's a term that we use a lot in the military, and it's a concept. It's called shipmate self, and it's a concept that the priority should be the command or the organization you're at, and then it should be your colleagues and the people around you, and then it should be yourself last. Uh,
Yep.
I've been doing this for 24 years, and I am ready to make a statement. The
Let's
statement
go.
is this.
I'm ready.
The statement is this. If you want to be a successful leader and you want to be the best version of yourself, you need to flip that. It needs to be self, shipmate, ship. So if you don't take care of yourself and put yourself in the best position every day, you're not going to be able to take care of those around you. And if you can't take care of those around you, you're not going to be able to take care of your organization, your command. And so we talk a lot about self awareness and self regulation, and we've done podcasts on it. But more and more people struggle with taking care of themselves, and they'll put themselves in these horrible situations to support these commands, these organizations, these companies, work 70, 80-hour weeks, and then don't know how to put themselves in a good place, and eventually they break mentally, physically, whatever. So all I would say to you is I'm not telling you to not care about the organization that you work for or to care about the people around you. I'm just asking you to prioritize yourself first and get yourself in the best headspace, because I feel like if you're the best version of yourself and then you support and lead and motivate and inspire the people around you, then the third part will happen. The organization will be successful. But if you don't flip it, I think you end up in a place where we're losing talent and people are breaking down because they're not taking the time to recharge the batteries and take care of themselves. That's it. I'm off the soapbox.
We
What's
heard that so much.
you what?
Heard that so much. Ship
Okay.
ship made self.
Uh-huh.
Ship made self. And I 1000% agree with you. 1000% agree with you. Right. It's I mean, you look at that pattern from a very practical place.
Sure.
If you're on an airplane, what do they tell you in the case of an emergency?
Now you better put the oxygen on yourself first. Better
You
do it.
take care of yourself first, and then
Take care
why
of
would it why would it be different? So I love it. I love it. Yes,
well,
sir.
I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you, man. Um, I was thinking this whole time about how we transitioned to the main point. I was trying to think of the
Mhm.
words that Sylvester Stallone used. In the Over the Top movie, he's like, it's like a
Yeah.
trigger. No, it's like a trigger. When he turns the hat around backwards, it's like a switch. And I was thinking about it the whole time because in my head, I was like, I'm not going to be able to spit this. I'm not going to be able to get this off my chest with my hat forward. It's going to have to be backwards because I need you to see me and I need you to feel this. Are we getting ready to get to the main topic? Are we there?
Yes.
Okay.
We are
All right.
there.
Great. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for making it through the first segment. Welcome to the main topic. And the main topic is, how do we thrive instead of survive at our organization? So I'm going to go off right now because Armand
I'm
called
with
me
it.
and asked me what we wanted to do for the podcast. And this was the first thought that came to my mind. There are
Yeah.
too many leaders that are surviving instead of thriving. Why do you want
Yes.
to get to a position to survive it? You bust your butt to get up the ladder, to get to a place where you can affect change, where you can motivate, lead, and inspire and change the next generation and make things better and make improvements. And you have all these hopes and dreams. And then when I ask you how you're doing, you say you're surviving. That is the lowest bar of leadership that exists. I don't need leaders that want to survive. I need leaders that want to thrive. I need leaders that want to be great and want to make other people great. You are not motivating, leading, and inspiring a single person if all you're doing is surviving. So, this episode, we are going to talk about the keys to thriving instead of surviving because no one wants to follow someone who's just trying to survive the day.
I love it. I thought you was gonna get. I thought actually, you know what I thought? I thought you was gonna go get your sunglasses too.
Oh
You
man,
was gonna
really?
get the sunglasses.
I was about to,
Like,
do- I was about to do. Now, I'm gonna do that. I got some sleep today. I don't feel like I need to cover my eyes up. I don't look like I hadn't slept in a week. I mean, I feel like the shirt makes the eyes pop. I didn't want to cover the eyes up today.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
But
man.
it's
But
true, man. It's so true. It's so true. You see these really, really stagnant environments. And I
Mhm.
say stagnant environments on purpose because one of the most pivotal moments of my entire life was walking to the park with my uncle when I was 7, 8 years old.
it's a great story. Chapter 7 of the book, I think. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. We were walking through
Yep.
and he points out, hey, what do you see over there? And for me, it's a creek, right? From Georgia, creek, body of water, running water. What do you see right here? I see running water. What's the deal? This is what life is supposed to be. Continual movement, progress. There's life, there's oxygen in that water. Look on the other side. On the other side was just standing, stagnant water. What do you see over there? A bunch of mosquitoes. That's right. Because stagnancy brings nothing but death and mosquitoes.
Yep.
And that thing stood out to me like I'll be 46 years old here in 3 days, and I remember it like it was yesterday. So this is the same thing. These stagnant organizations, these stagnant leaders who are just in jobs, existing in the space, surviving in the space, not making a difference, not actively looking for how can I get better, just enough so that up echelon or the C-suite is not saying anything to them, or the leader that's been appointed above that they don't have anything to say. They're just doing just
Yep.
enough.
Yep.
That is death. That
Yep.
is you're if you're not moving forward, you are slowly dying. And the problem with that is that you're taking these people along with you. Like, we have the responsibility to the people to bring them, to an environment where they can grow them and fully mature into the people that they're going to ultimately be. But when we set the environment in stagnancy, you ever seen stagnant water, like those nasty bubbles that come up, and like all the moss and the seaweed it's all just nasty. It's like, but that is the representation of that organization, of those leaders who have decided, I'm just going to survive. Nature does not concur with just sitting idly by, just so you know. You ever see a lion just chilling out, just, what, I'm gonna survive by hiding in the grass. No, that's not how things work. So when we as leaders decide to assume this cowardice pose, and I'm saying this on purpose, it's cowardice. It's absolutely cowardice to go into an organization and just say, I'm just gonna exist here. Not gonna
Sure.
make any difference, not gonna make any waves, I'm not gonna try to get any better. We're just fine. There's nothing worse than an organization that says, yeah, man, I mean, shoot, this is how we've been doing it, right? Why would we change now? That's how organizations die.
So, how do we get there? How does that happen? Because I feel like before we can get into how we can avoid it, we got to talk about how we get there. So, how does it
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah, I think it's an agreement with comfort. I think it's an agreement with comfort. You've
Okay.
had, some level, of what you may define as success. You may have come into an organization that has had, success before you. One of the things I talked about the book Apple in China, but I think about Apple now, and I think about since Tim Cook has taken over, what has Apple innovated? They were they were innovating year after year after year after year. They were unwavering. Steve Jobs was unwavering. He was looking to continue to push these boundaries, and he pushed his organization, to continue to innovate, to continue to grow. That when they came up with the iPod, came up with the iPod Shuffle, came up with the iPod Touch, then came up, with the iPhone, the iPad. All these things were generated on his watch. They done anything since?
You come up with the watch. The watch was already out. Job to that.
Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Now they're in a situation where they just had a bunch. They have they've generated so much money, that the decline is not going to look like a decline,
sure.
right? It's just going to be, it's just slowly, but you have all of these other companies that are consistently innovating, coming up with new things, man. You look at Samsung with that folding phone. My wife just upgraded to the Galaxy Fold, and that Joker is incredible.
Really.
But it's the innovation, it's the willingness to go and to take these challenges, take these risks. And a lot of cases, it's not really risks. It's just, how can we continue to push the boundaries of getting better? It's that constant question: how can we continue to get better? I think that is a question as leaders that we always have to be asking ourselves: how can we get better? What am I missing? What are my blind spots? And because if we're not asking ourselves that question, then it's very easy to miss what's coming up in our blind spot and is going to overtake us. How you think we get here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we get here with I'm sure there's a handful of ways, but one of them is the mediocrity. I mean, like the fact that like the people above them are okay with mediocrity, with
Yeah,
just being, with just arriving. I mean people every day that are getting to a brand new job and they're worried about what the next job is going to be instead of worrying about how to be great at the job that they're at. So like how can you build a great team or a great climate if you're already thinking about the next job that has nothing to do with the job you're in? You know, we always want you to strive for greatness, but you finally make it to a managerial position, you got to take some time to get good at that job. You got to be great at that job before you can worry about the next one. And I think when we have this culture where there's people that are just happy to have the parking spot, happy to have their name on the door and they feel like they've arrived and there's no one there to hold them accountable or to check them and tell them like what are we doing to get better, what are we doing to push the envelope to strive for greatness. I think you end up in a place where it's okay to just make it day by day. And
yeah,
so I talk about pursuing excellence on a daily basis and what that really means, and that's creating an environment and a culture in which you push everyone on your team to be better than they were the day before. Not to be perfect, not to be you, not to be the person to the right or left of them, but here's your baseline, here's where you are. And the next day, the next week, there's constant states of growth, right? So they're not being stagnant. And so, you know, when you don't have a leader that's pushing that envelope, that's okay with just where they are, maybe they're riding the coattails off the hard work that the previous person put in. What they're
yeah,
gonna end up doing is setting the team and the organization back because if you're not training and you're not growing and you're not pushing people to become better, then you're becoming stagnant and then people are dying. And then when the people that doing all the work transfer and leave or get better jobs or don't like the culture and they leave, now you don't have anyone to do the great things that were being done before. And so we just can't allow ourselves to be in a state of survival. We have to think about what does it mean to thrive and what does it mean to build a culture where people want to thrive, where people want to get better, where people don't accept mediocrity. And
yeah,
it's hard for me to know exactly how we got here and it's not like every leader I meet is in this mode. But what I would say is more often than not, it feels like people are happy to be there and they don't want to be great. You know what I want? I want leaders that show up and they're like, I want this to be the best sales team at my organization. I want this submarine to be the best submarine in the Navy. Like I didn't show up to be a chief of the boat to have an average boat. Like I wanted to be great. I wanted people to walk on board my boat, walk down the pier, and say, "Oh, the best. That's the best submarine right there." I wanted them to know it. And any job I go to, I think about my grandfather every time I enter a new job. I was very young and he told me, it doesn't matter what job you get in life. All it matters is that you do the best you can every day at whatever job that is. And my grandfather worked two full-time jobs, 40 years, retired
yeah,
with two pensions. And he didn't have any education. He worked at a school and he worked at Metro North helping build trains, but he did his best every day. And how can we be so privileged and honored to be in a position of leadership and be in a position in which we have the ability to motivate, lead, and inspire, to run major organizations, to run, in the Navy, to be able to be in charge of a submarine or any other organization and job that you've worked so hard for, and then not want that to be the best. I think we're selling our the people that we serve short when we don't want to build that culture. And so
yeah,
that is what we need to change. And that is what we need to think about when we go to work every day.
yeah. I mean, the implications For us, we are in what we call a VUCA environment, a volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous. Essentially, we're in an environment that's ever changing, and we always have to be ready for that change. Every time I make a decision not to move forward, the environment is overtaking me.
Sure.
The adversary is getting better. The adversary is progressing. They're building their capability, and we don't have the leverage to stop. We don't have the leverage to get comfortable. We don't have the leverage to say, I think we're good enough. We're not in a space ever, right? Because time gonna keep on ticking. Therefore, things are gonna continue to change. That is the one inevitability is that change is going to continue to happen. But as leaders, we can't be resistant to that change. We have to look at it as a gift. We have to reframe it for ourselves and for our team. This is not a hard thing. It's not difficult. This is preparation for us to make things easier on ourselves in the future, actually. Because if I'm projecting out, I'm looking, because that's what thriving really forces me to do. When I seek to thrive, I'm looking for opportunities to progress in the future. I'm looking for spaces that we can now inhabit that we haven't previously been at because we weren't looking from that perspective. But because we've made a dedication to continually thrive as an organization, thrive as a leadership team, now I get the benefit of all the eyes of all the people in the organization because now this is what has become culture. So now we're freeing up people, to really innovate, to really think about how we can get better day to day. It's not just a few people in the team. Now it's everybody because we have set the tone as leaders. Because leaders, we essentially are the nervous system of of this organization. And much like like the nervous system that exists in our bodies, our nervous system has the power to shift us into freeze, fight, or flight, into survival mode, into reactive mode. And guess what happens to our bodies, our minds when we're in freeze, fight, or flight? We no longer have access to our higher level thinking. We no longer have access to the deductive reasoning and the foresight that we need to progress forward. So as leaders, when I decide, you know what, I'm just gonna survive. We're going to collectively survive. It's not. I don't think it's a conscious decision. It's just a posture that we're good,
Yep. Yeah.
right? Because to thrive is an intentional thing. We are. This is the goal. This is where we're going to. These are the things that we're going to get better at. Here's the time frame. Here are the metrics. Here's the process that we're going to go do that. That's how we get better. That's how we thrive. It's an intentional thing. It's not something that you can do by accident, right?
Yeah.
So if you're wondering whether or not you are a surviving leader or a thriving leader, uh, look at your to-do list. Look
Sure.
at how you track things. If you don't have intentional things that are listed on your to-do list to get better, hey, by this date, we are intended to be here, and the methodology that we're going to utilize to get there, and the milestones that we're going to use to track whether or not we're actually meeting that intent, you're a surviving leader. Your organization is being led by surviving leaders and not thriving leaders because it's intentional. It's not by accident. We don't get better by accident. We
Nope.
don't back into excellence. That's not how anything happens, right? So it has to start by setting those goals, those organizational goals, those leadership goals, to get, to a place where hey, this is just how we do business. We're never comfortable. We're never happy with where we are. We're never satisfied with where we are. Never happy is probably the bad language, but never satisfied.
Sure.
We're comfortable with, hey, the progress that we're making, right? But never satisfied with where we're currently at, and never find ourselves in stasis.
I love it. Just so you heard it, thrive, discovering who you are and the person you are becoming reaching daily success with happiness and compassion, not merely surviving, but living life with passion. And the passion part is what sticks out to me because I feel like there's not a single group that is going to survive with passion, right? You thrive with passion. You thrive with a desire to want to be great and a passion to be great.
Absolutely.
So, I think you already kind of got into it. So we talked about how we got there, but now like how do we shift out of that survival mode to that thrive state that we want to be in? So I think the first thing you said is have a plan, right? And then I think the next step is, having a plan is great. Then you got to set goals off that plan, quantifiable goals that you can reach and get to. And then you got to create buy-in. Like, if you walk into an organization that is allowed survival to be okay, when you walk in and say, no, 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 this is not okay. This is not what we're gonna do. We're gonna push to be better. We're gonna be pushed to be great. We're gonna pursue excellence on a daily basis. You are going to upset more people than you make happy. I promise you. So if you think this is an easy transition, call me up, reach out to us at leadership because we might need some one-on-one counseling sessions, man, because this is not going to be easy. You are going to be an outsider because people are comfortable, in that situation. And so shaking it up is going to cause some discomfort. And discomfort creates growth. And so we'll get better. I think step one is setting some attainable goals and then creating buy-in. And you create buy-in by making sure that you clearly communicate and set clear, concise expectations on what it is you're trying to get, where you're trying to go, and how you're going to get there. And then I think once you have that laid out, the next step is, my go to move, but that's getting culture carriers. You got to get people that are on your team that are not okay with average, that want to be great. You look at I mean, I think sports is a great analogy. You see a mid-season acquisition and people talk about this guy being a champion caliber player or a glue guy. And they're not the starter, they're not the best player on the team, but they're the person that knows what it looks like to win and that they're going to hold people accountable and check people when people aren't hitting the mark. And that's what you're looking for. They don't need to be the person with all the answers. They need to be the person that supports the vision and is willing to stand up for the vision and where you're trying to go while you're not around. That's
Yeah.
gonna hold people accountable and check them. But there's steps to this and there's levels to this, but it's got to be an overall concept and it has to be forward leaning and it has to be clear with direction on how we're gonna transcend from this mediocre, we're okay with surviving to this thriving mindset.
What's interesting along the way when you adapt that mentality is like, hey, we're going to shift from surviving to thriving. Um, One of the things that you're going to hear very very often, is this, and it's going to be and it's personal for it. It's personal. It don't take all that. You're going to hear that a lot. It don't take all that because this is a resistance.
Yep.
I'm happy in my mediocrity. I'm happy in my comfortability. Why you gonna come challenge me? Why you so intense? Why I gotta be all that? Why we have to do this is just so you know, for those that may be listening to this and find yourself saying this is the voice of mediocrity. This is what mediocre sounds like. It don't take all that
Yeah.
because I contend that it does. If there's a purpose for the organization, if there's an intent for that organization, and for us, there's very clear commander's intent, right? We our job is very clear. Is we're supposed to dominate.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to dominate, right? Just as an organization, we so happen to to serve in this great military, the great this great navy that we have the privilege of serving in, and our job is to dominate the adversary. Domination don't happen by rolling with surviving leaders. Domination don't happen by rolling with surviving organizations. Domination only happens by organizations that are willing to thrive. So yes, it does take all that.
It
It
does.
does take this level of intensity. And I hope that it offends you. I hope that it offends your mediocrity. I hope this desire, this this striving for excellence offends your mediocrity so you can get out the way. Because there's no room for you if you want to stay in that place.
Yep.
Nothing burns me up when I look to my left and to my right, the people that are where they're on the same level, quote unquote, that I'm at, that has relegated themselves to just complaining, being subject to the environment, and not willing to take ownership of themselves and control the outcomes. Because that's what thriving leaders actually do. They don't complain about things, they take action, recognize the power that they have, and they move and they make things happen. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, I
I'm
could tell.
back on your
Yeah.
I'm back on your
So if you would have you flip the hat around, people know it's serious. They know it's about to get real. Yeah, I
no
mean, I
doubt.
no, I mean, I love the passion. I just think, you do this long enough and you care about people long enough, and everyone uses the term "take care of people," but when it comes to actually doing it, that requires work. And if we're supposed to create the next generation of leaders, and it's our job to bring people up and help them along, you got to build a thrive environment. You got to build a culture in which people know what it looks like to push past your limits, to try hard things, to do hard things, and to get better every day. And so, if you find yourself in an organization where some of your leaders are surviving instead of thriving, push past it. Figure out what you can control and what you can do to make sure that your circle is thriving and that you're doing the best for the people that you serve. And don't
That's it.
allow
That's
the
it.
status quo to be we're okay. Like, pretty good is the start of mediocrity, right? Those anyone's like, it's pretty good. Like, no, that means it's probably not, right? Like,
Yep.
I'm not telling you everything's got to be perfect. But if we're in a mindset of thriving, we got to be better than just I or just pretty good. We got to be great, and we can't allow products or energy or the things that we put into the daily basis to just be average. We got to push it to be great. And I think that the last thing I'll say on thriving, man, is it's a mindset and it's an attitude, and it's infectious. Winning
Yeah.
is everything. When you're on a winning team, like, people want to be a part of it. People want to be involved in it. If you're surviving and your team's not winning, the culture is not as good, your retention is not as good, the vibe isn't as good, and people aren't willing to work as hard. But when you're thriving and the culture is good and people like where they work and the retention is high and you're winning, people want to be a part of it. And so at the end of the day, do you want to be part of a culture and a thriving organization in which people are excited to come to work every day and are excited to be a part of the team and are excited to win, and new ideas are brought in with excitement and creativity is pushed to the top? Or do you want to be part of an organization that is met with, like, that's how we've always done it, we're just going to keep doing it that way? And if that's how you
Yeah.
want to be, go work for BlackBerry. They got a great documentary. You can go check it out. I don't think you can work there anymore, but they settled. They started surviving instead of thriving. They set the tone for all this, all the technology, all the things we have. BlackBerry was doing it faster, better than all of them, and now they're gone. And so, where do you want to be? Where do you want your organization to be, your command to be, your team to be? You want them to be in an environment that is thriving. So let's be the leaders that push the thriving mindset, and let's not show up every day just to survive.
Absolutely. Blockbuster laughed at Netflix.
I saw that documentary too. actually Blockbuster could have bought them and got in. Like they were gonna do a joint tandem where they were gonna offer like services for streaming, and they were like, nah, we good.
We good.
So
We
yeah,
good.
and
No,
if
you're
you do
not.
that, you're not. You're gonna end up like Blockbuster or BlackBerry, and people are gonna pass
Yep.
you, and your people are gonna go work for other companies because they want to be part of winning teams. So the next time someone asks you how you're doing, and your answer is I'm surviving, man, don't say it. And if you really think that, get back to basics and figure out how you can build a thriving mindset and what you can do to take care of yourself and to have a plan and a vision on what it looks like to thrive. And let's thrive out there. Come on. We
Let's
are
drive.
better than this. We are better and we can do better. And I know if you part of this leadership state of my family, we going to be better because that's what we do here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I couldn't have said it better myself, brother. I think surviving versus thriving. I think you close it out perfectly. We got to continue the conversation though. It doesn't just stop. We started the conversation about surviving versus thriving, but we have to continue that conversation, right? There are strategies, for continuing to win. And we talked a little bit about those, right? But we can't cover all those, within an hour, right? That's why, leadership state of mind exists further than just, this podcast. It's in the comments, is, person to person, is person to group. We are ready for the conversation and ready, willing, to help along the way. So if you have input, please comment, let us know what you think. If you have some input, hey, you seen some things that seen some things work. Let's help out the let's help out the community, right? Because it's about building leaders that thrive, right? So, and we don't have all the answers. We're not contending that we have all the answers to win. We got some of them though, all right, because we do know how to win, and that's a
Yep.
fact, right? So we're starting that conversation, but we want to continue by liking, by sharing, and continuing that conversation with people that are in leadership, that are growing into leadership. We're just here, to help. So, Tony, got anything else, brother?
Nah, man. Leadership State of Mind. I appreciate y'all. Please continue to follow us. If you haven't yet checked out the book, head to Amazon, 10 Leadership Commandments. Grab yourself a copy, maybe two, maybe 10. Pass them out to your friends. And until next time, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Leadership State of Mind. Peace.
Peace.